So we've all been told to capture what resonates. I've actually said it many times on this channel, whether it's a profound insight that you found or a quote that makes you tear up. Jotting it down is just the beginning of an extraordinary journey towards building a body of living knowledge. Today, we're going to dive into what I'm calling living notes. This is a perennial approach to note-taking that will help you engage with ideas from anywhere, distill them, and then create meaningful mantras that will benefit you and others for years to come. So in this video, we're going to explore three things. What exactly living notes entail, the defining qualities that make a note living, and then some practical strategies to kickstart your journey of creating living notes. Before we hop in, I did want to give you a free gift for hanging out with me today and watching this video. This is my free guide on how to take book notes and how to extract those insights from the books that you love and get them into your personal knowledge management system. That way that it can benefit you in the future and now as well. By the end of the guide, you will have a simple system for highlighting your books, a mindful approach for adding content to your personal knowledge management system or PKM, and then a process for creating building blocks of knowledge for the future, and then finally a simple tip for making more connections inside of your PKM. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description below. Living notes comes from a concept of reading living books. And this idea was made popular by Charlotte Mason, who was a British educator in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And she believed that a child should be exposed to a wide variety of literature and to read specific types of books, these living books. And these living books were written by authors so passionate about the subject or the topic that when you read it, it came alive for you, right? They pulled you into the topic and involved your emotions, and the ideas stuck with you. In the same way, a living note is written in such a way that when you revisit it and you read it, it inspires and excites you. And not only that, these notes, they become part of your conversations, everyday conversations, and maybe through your writing and the way that you communicate. They become like mantras and insight that you share to help others and open their eyes to a new perspective, a different perspective in ways that they've never seen before. It's almost like they become part of your DNA, right? Your communication DNA, your thinking. There's a few videos that I've done in the past on mind gardens. One of them was actually on what a mind garden is. I'll link that video for you to check it out. But I talked about Andy's working notes as one of the examples of what a mind garden is. And in his mind garden, he talks about this concept of evergreen notes. And it's very similar to what I'm talking about here with living notes. I want to read you just a quick quote from it real quick. He says that evergreen notes are written and organized to evolve, contribute, and accumulate over time across projects. This is an unusual way to think about writing notes. Most people only take transient notes. That's because these practices aren't about writing notes. They're about effectively developing insight. Better note-taking misses the point. What matters is better thinking, and when done well, these notes can be quite valuable. Now, I want to pause for a moment and double click on a few things here. I love that he says that these notes are written and organized to evolve, contribute, and accumulate. I love that. It's not just about the present moment, it's about the future as well. Now, when I think about the words evolve and contribute and accumulate, there are a few things that come to mind. To evolve is to develop gradually, okay? And so every note has the potential to grow like, a tiny acorn that will over time become this massive oak tree that provides oxygen and shade for hundreds of years to come. And I believe that there are ideas inside of all of us, inside of you, that one day when you write them down and you cultivate them and you nurture them, and they will become mature perspectives, and they will help others and yourself as well. So they evolve over time. And then there's contribute. To contribute is to bring something about, right? And what I think of is your notes are actually playing a part in this grand symphony of knowledge that you build over your lifetime. And then there's to accumulate. That's to gather up or pile up, especially little by little. And I love that, because this isn't a one-time, instant pot, same day delivery kind of experience. This is a life of storing and treasuring knowledge that will hopefully one day be of use for yourself and for others as well. All right, so what are the qualities of a living note? Like what makes it living? Number one, similar to an atomic note, a living note, each living note is focused on a single idea and written in your own words. It carries a message. It carries a message with your unique thought print, right? Like a fingerprint, but it's a thought print. It's unique because it's got a mix of the original idea with your personality and your experience and knowledge and your perspective. Okay, so these notes, these living notes, have your thought print. You can tell whenever you come across a living note, and you know that that sounds like that person, and that sounds like the way that they talk. Sounds like the way they think. Living notes are long-lasting. They are perennial. Their value is multiplied over time. These notes, they take into consideration the original context of whatever it is that you consumed, whether it's a book or a podcast, a conversation, a YouTube video, whatever it is. And then they extract the concepts, the principles that apply to the topics that you care about, that resonate with you. And then these notes, they change as you change. Your beliefs over time may solidify, they may change a little bit, they may morph. Your perspective may change, may morph. So your notes should change with you as well. And then they can come from anywhere. These living notes can come from literally anywhere. A quote, I mean, there's the obvious things that we think about, like there's a quote, a book, but then there's things that we don't normally think about. Maybe it's a sign at the zoo that you visit, a conversation, a street sign as you're walking. Actually, two of my latest notes came from street signs as I was passing them. I have one where I passed a street sign where the actual road was named Riverbed Drive or something like that. And I went into this whole rabbit trail of looking into riverbeds and the definition of it and other words that describe riverbeds, and it ended up being this meaningful note for me that I actually got to share with my wife, and I hopefully will share with others as well. Riverbeds, what occupies the space matters. That's the title of the note. Then the other note is place important communication in the path of the user. There's a street sign that it's actually a sidewalk sign that I happened to notice, and I just took a picture of it, and I started thinking about, as a UX designer, you need to put things in the path of the user, right? The actions that you want them to take and the way that you want them to go, you need to make sure that the signs are in the path that they are going. And so my point is, there are multiple ways that you can take notes and that you can find these living notes. We've talked about what living notes are and then the qualities of a living note. Now, I want to give you some practical things that you can do to get started with creating living notes. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that you don't need to worry about your previous notes. Okay? Don't let that be a bottleneck and from stopping you from starting this journey now. You can start with the notes that you've taken today or the notes that you're going to take tomorrow. Okay. Second thing is you need to title your notes for your future self. Note titles are highway signs. Okay. They can pull you in with specificity, or they can deter you because they're dry and vague and you don't remember why you said what you said. Okay. It doesn't mean they have to be long. But for you personally, like, you want to make sure that they're specific and that you take whatever the core idea is of the note and you present it in a way that's almost like you're giving yourself advice, right? You're going into the future and you're giving yourself advice to say, hey, you need to pay attention to this. Or if you want to think of it like this, you can pretend you're at a coffee shop with a friend and you're telling them about this principle, this concept, this idea that has helped you, and you want to start it off with this one sentence that fits in a title as almost like a doorway into a deeper conversation that a friend is intrigued and they're like, tell me more. I want to know more. Tell me more. Some examples from my notes are surround yourself with people who see you as God sees you. One of the books that I study a lot is the Bible. And so a lot of these notes are going to have scriptures, like tiny passages of text that are tied to the idea, whatever it is that I feel like is the principle or what God is speaking to me. I'll put that as the title. So surround yourself with people who see you as God sees you. That is one of the things that I took away in that story in 1 Samuel 23, 15 through 18. And then the second one is chaos follows negligence. This is another takeaway for me from a proverb that says, poor is he who works with a negligent and idle hand, but the hand of the diligent makes him rich. It reminded me of, whatever we leave uncared for eventually leads to chaos. And this little three-word title came to me of chaos follows negligence, right? When I'm talking to somebody and I can bring that up, right, in a conversation and say, you know what, I've realized that chaos follows negligence. And what we leave uncared for will eventually lead to chaos. And then the third one is you'll benefit most in reading whenever you master the skill of catching ideas. And this is from the book How to Read a Book that I'm currently going through. My wife was looking at me like, you're reading a book on how to read a book. Yes, how to read a book. The idea here and the analogy that he gave is with a pitcher and then the catcher, that there is activity involved on both sides. The pitcher is the one communicating the idea, and then the catcher is the one who is receiving the idea, but the catcher is actively involved in the conversation. And so you want to get great at the skill of catching ideas. So anyways, this is what I put as my note. You'll benefit most in reading whenever you master the skill of catching ideas. You see how whenever I read these notes, I don't necessarily have to be like, what does this mean? Right? I can know what it means as soon as I read the title, and it's written as if I'm writing to my future self or I'm talking to somebody at a coffee shop. And then the third thing that I want to encourage you to do is to take long walks. Take long walks and allow your curiosity to be in the driver's seat. Over the years, I've learned that this is one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite ways to capture interesting ideas. At the same time, learn about weird and interesting things too. It's so beneficial to me to take these long walks. Obviously there's the physical, aspect of me being outside and me walking, but there's the mental aspect as well. It's so good for me to be able to do this. And I love that this one activity has so many benefits. Right. So I learned about interesting and weird things in nature, about, insects or bugs and street signs and riverbeds and even simple things like playgrounds. I pass a playground on my walk almost every day. And one day I just thought, why were playgrounds invented? Like, who invented them and why? And this led me on this kind of journey of discovering that. So simultaneously, I'm learning about something that is, in this case, simple, like a playground, but at the same time, I'm gaining a new perspective, and I'm taking and extracting the concepts and things, the lessons maybe from what I'm learning about, and applying it to a topic that I'm interested in, or an idea that I'm thinking about. Now, if you want to dive deeper into, how the taking long walks and following your curiosity, I have 2 videos on that. One is the picture note-taking video that I did, where you can take photos and learn about interesting things and then apply those concepts to what you're learning about. And then the curiosity-driven note-taking video that I did, where I was learning about hot air balloons and what that led to. So you can check both of those videos out if you want to. I hope you found this video helpful and useful, and maybe it sparks some ideas for you on your journey with personal knowledge management and creating living notes. And I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If you want to know more about something that I mentioned in the video, or maybe you have your own process for creating living notes, let me know. I'm all ears. I want to know about it. I hope you keep capturing interesting ideas in the living notes, and I'll see you next time.